The end of a 3-game road trip for the Philadelphia 76ers that concludes in Denver, where the Denver Nuggets and the NBA are making sure that they are ducking Joel Embiid because they knew he would be out at this time, still rehabbing. They are ducking Joel Embiid, not the other way around. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers pregame show presented by Bet365. And, of course, as always, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365, along with Derek Bodner, Kyle Newbeck. I'm Devon Givens. Bree with us, as always. And the 76ers take on Nikola Jokić and the Denver Nuggets. And, Derek, this is going to be an interesting one. We're getting some things are starting to come back in of who's
injury
in,
news
who's out.
I'm interrupting you. I don't care. Paul George is playing. Yabusele is playing.
I do care. So thank you.
And Andre Drummond is playing.
And Andre Drummond is
saving the best for last.
So they get three of their
He was not a high
priority
back compared to Yabu and PG, obviously. So congratulations to us for getting to watch at least a semi-functional basketball team.
Good, Derek. You were saying.
Is there anyone notable not playing? Do you want to get to that elephant in the room?
Joel Embiid not playing still.
He is not. Which
Kyle Lowry not playing still. Caleb Martin not playing still. KJ Martin not playing still. Jared McCain not playing still.
Jared McCain ducking Denver. He's never played in Denver in his NBA career.
He has not played in Denver in over 20 years. So a lot of people are asking questions about Jared McCain's toughness and his willingness to stare down people who have main character syndrome.
Yes, he is.
Well, Derek, your immediate thoughts on what this team looks like now that they get some guys back for the final game of this road trip, which, again, is against a tough Denver team that is sitting at 26-16.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have certainly seen where the Sixers, even with Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, have struggled. They're struggling in large part because defensively they just have no real chance. The Sixers' ability to defend the paint without Joel Embiid there is pretty much non-existent. Doesn't really matter whether or not you put the 6'11" Andre Drummond or the 6'8" Guerschon Yabusele. They alter shots at about the same rate, which speaks a lot more to one than it does the other. But the Sixers really just do not have a competitive interior defense without Embiid. And they've struggled a lot because of that, especially because the two stars have been really, really streaky from the perimeter. We did talk a little bit recently that it's great just to get some reps in between these two. Even though Maxey and George have played a decent sample, anytime you can build a little bit more chemistry is good. When you can increase the watchability quotient of the game, that's great for us, personally, selfishly. There's going to be some people that are very firmly in the do not win a game camp. Denver's playing really good basketball right now. I think they've won 6 of their last 7 and like 9 of their last 11 or something like that. They're playing really good basketball right now. So I don't think you have to worry too much about that one, but it should be a better game, a more competitive game, a more watchable game. And that is what I really care about.
Yeah. To your point about Denver playing well recently, Derek, they have had a lineup shakeup that's pretty noteworthy, right? Where Aaron Gordon, who I think all of us on the show have said we're big admirers of him, but also just like that general type of player, right? The do-it-all Swiss Army knife role player that the Sixers don't have. So Aaron Gordon has moved to the bench to accommodate Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup, which before the season, I don't think anybody would have predicted that there would be any stretch of time that Russell Westbrook would be playing well enough to justify that. But he has been playing well off of Nikola Jokić, with Murray has picked it up as of late, but for a lot of this season, he has struggled to turn the corner, score efficiently, be the Jamal Murray that he's been in the past. And so they've needed a little bit more shot creation. Russ has added that. And it does help the Sixers a little bit in that they will be a bit smaller than they would if you start Gordon rather than Westbrook. And the Sixers, as we have seen, play a whole lot of small lineups between Maxey and Gordon and Reggie Jackson and Doughton and all these guys that they have to get on the floor or they have to play because there's nobody else to play. Hopefully you can avoid a little bit of that tonight with Paul's return. Yabu maybe slides into more of a I don't even know if he'll play backup 5 tonight, honestly, because Adem has actually given them good enough minutes that you could say maybe Abu pivots into full-time 4, and that's kind of his role in the lineup tonight. But some interesting things to see from the Sixers, and obviously it's an uphill battle, right? Because Denver is playing well and they're basically whole, whereas this team is a mash unit with no real synergy, no real momentum. It's just a hope and a prayer that Tyrese Maxey and Paul George can kind of bail them out.
No, my snarky ass was going to say play Yabu and Bona at center and just relegate Drummond to the bench. But against this team with their size, you probably do want Andre in there for at least a little bit.
Yep. So Bree, let's take a look at the starters for this one tonight. The starters are already out. And for the starting lineup, Tyrese Maxey, Eric Gordon remaining in the backcourt with Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, of course, staying in the starting lineup in the front court with Paul George and Andre Drummond. So Yabusele does come off the bench with some of the others, Justin Edwards, Ricky Council, and whomever else they're going to decide to throw out there. So those are your starters tonight against the Denver Nuggets. And along with that lineup change, very interested to see how much run Andre Drummond gets, how much Yabusele gets at either of the 4 or the 5 position there. Kyle, your thoughts on the starting lineup for what they have here? I mean, it looks like a more of a normal one, of course, with at least Paul George back in there and a big guy in the middle, but Eric Gordon still getting the start at the 5. Any thoughts of that one? Would you prefer Yabusele get the start there at the 4 in the starting lineup next to Drummond because of what you just pointed out, Dem Bona playing a little bit better at that backup 5?
I gotta be honest, Devon. I don't really care which one of those guys starts because Eric Gordon is gonna play maybe 15 to 20 minutes max, and if he's gonna be out there, you put him out there with some level of protection, like pretending like when the starting lineup matters when the team is whole and you're trying to find like, okay, these are my top 8 guys that I have to play, and then maybe the 1 or 2 swing guys every single night. At this point, it's just like, are you healthy enough to play? Shake, as Brett Brown used to say, I'll shake your hand, son, and you go into the starting lineup, right? Like that's kind of where I'm at. If you have the legs to play, you're a starter, or you're starter adjacent at the very least. So, like Yabu coming off of a multiple game layoff, I'm not shocked that they said it will bring him along slowly and bring him off the bench. It also probably does give Nick the option to at least see what that Drummond Jokić bloodbath looks like and sub it accordingly, right? Like none of these guys have a chance against Jokić in individual matchups without some, double teams and stunts and probably some exotic coverages, right? Just throwing anything that they can at him to try to get the ball out of his hands and make him feel uncomfortable. But you can feel out the game a little bit and say, all right, if a bigger guy is at least doing something against Jokić, maybe we roll Bona, although he's not exactly traditional big either. So to answer your question, it's fine, the starting lineup, but that's about it. I can't get jazzed up or I can't get mad at, like, if we're getting into the Eric Gordon versus Justin Edwards, or it's like the argument. Once you have it in your head,
I'll make sure I won't ask that one anymore, so we don't have to go through it anymore.
No, we got to talk about it, right? Like, it's a completely fair question. I just, where I'm at is it's fine. Like, Eric Gordon has played okay, right? And I think that he shot the ball well enough that, especially if you're going to play Drummond, you do have to make sure that it's not just this complete absence of shooting on the floor outside of Maxey and PG. So it's fine, but everything is not fine right now is what I would say.
Derek,
what a world we're living in, boys.
Yeah, if we're actually going to earnestly debate the starting lineup and debate Eric Gordon versus Justin Edwards, which I agree with Kyle's overall point of, like, the fact that we're even having this debate and trying to nitpick these hairs really proves how down the team and the season is. I do think the more reliable shooting around PG, around Maxey, especially with Drummond in the lineup, because he's not giving you any of that probably makes sense. And Gordon has shown a little bit of life here of late, especially with his 3-ball. It's opened up some driving lanes as he attacks closeouts in slow motion. So I think I think Justin Edwards has performed admirably. I think he has, deserves to get minutes from here on out, in part because when you only have 8 players and you have a young guy showing a little bit of life, of course you're going to play the young kid. Doesn't matter too much if it's coming in the starting lineup or not. No, because the minute breakdown is probably going to be very similar. So I'm not going to get too up in arms about it. And like I said, Eric has been shooting the ball at least over the last couple of, week or two.
I will say this might end up being a must-lose game tonight if you're a tanking enthusiast, because I'm looking around the league at the moment. Portland is up 9 on Miami with a little over 3 minutes left. And Toronto is up by 14 on the Magic with 4 minutes left. Those would be some big wins for the tanking standings, baby.
If Toronto wins a game, you have to pick up that loss in the
listen,
standings.
you gotta bank it. Bank it while Toronto's giving you some wiggle room.
I mean, what's next?
Up.
Utah's gonna win a game? Let's not be ridiculous here.
I will say this says a lot about me as a person.
Have you looked at Utah's schedule?
I was locked in on that Utah-New Orleans game. That was not only is it their battle for the right to the name of the Jazz, which should belong to New Orleans. It's ridiculous that it's the Utah Jazz and not New Orleans. That's a whole nother thing. But that was an incredible tanking battle. And we brought up the Pelicans in our show yesterday, talking about shutting Joel down and lottery odds. Pelicans keep marching onward, man. Like now that they're healthy, starting to win some games.
3 games recently. Yeah.
Look at urgency.
Look at Utah's upcoming schedule: at OKC, at Memphis, Milwaukee, at Golden State, Minnesota, Orlando, Indy, Golden State, at Phoenix. They might legitimately go the entire month of January. I think they won 1 game earlier on. They might not win a game until after the trade deadline. It is a really tough schedule for that tanking standings. I think you can cross them off the list along with Washington.
But is that Phoenix pre or post Jimmy Butler trade that's going to happen in the next?
I'll tell you what, that was one of the more interesting trades. Obviously, Phoenix traded 3 first-round picks. 25, 27, 29, I think it was. And all of those are the lesser of 3 different picks for 1 Phoenix unprotected pick in 2031, or Utah traded 3 picks for 1 Phoenix unprotected pick in 2031. Don't think I've ever seen that. It's very rare that a team will trade an unprotected pick 6 years out. They're obviously doing it to get 3 picks so they can include multiple picks in a superstar deal. I just thought that one was fascinating.
Jimmy Butler, I hope you enjoyed the desert, buddy. Sure seems like he does.
But now you've got to find someone to take Bradley Beal. That's what I was about
to say. Where's he going?
He's going to Milwaukee. I think it's at this point it's fait accompli. I think it's Jimmy ends up in Phoenix. Beal goes to Milwaukee. Middleton and some other stuff goes to Miami. It's going to happen. You heard it here first.
All
and
right.
16 other places.
Yeah, I was going to
say. Anyway, what game's happening tonight? What were we talking about again?
Yeah, that one on national TV.
We never cover games in Denver. We set that one out of the schedule.
Oh wait, are the Knicks losing to the Nets as well? This could be
Knicks,
1 point
it's
game.
Down to the wire. Yeah.
Oh man, Devon, you need to put in a call. Say, hey, Mikhail, throw this one. You don't need this game that badly. The Nets getting a win here would be big for your hometown team that I know betrayed you, but still, it'd be good for your cousin's podcast.
What is that? 1 point with 3 minutes and some change to go in the fourth?
Yes,
okay. Sir. Yeah. So we'll see that. And Portland's up by 7 over Miami right now, just under 2 minutes. And Toronto up by 14 with 4 minutes to go in Toronto over the Magic. So we'll see what the Sixers do tonight.
Maybe even the Wizards could get a win over the Lakers later. Get real crazy. Win number 7 for the boys from DC.
Maybe.
Let's not go too far here. Let's not get crazy.
Have you watched that Lakers team recently? They've stinking it up.
Yeah, they are. Marcus Blackstock with a super chat jumping in here early says, this feels like the family was called to the hospital for the last words with a loved one. In parentheses.
Oh, we're gonna have a lot of last words, buddy. We're getting called a lot over the next couple months.
Oh man,
game a lot of eulogies 42. Happening around here.
The last time game number 42 felt like this was during the rebuild era. It wasn't. This was the last time that certainly we can remember.
But it didn't even feel like this because nobody had expectations. It's really the hope that kills you. It really, it's been the worst season I think by far. Like the only other one you would even compare it to is the 2019-20 with Richardson and Horford and all that. But that team at least started off good. They gave you hope. It might have only been for a couple of weeks. But they started off real strong. This is unparalleled.
And their home record was crazy that year too, right? Like they
went an entire calendar year without losing at the Wells Fargo Center. Now part of that was because there was COVID and all that stuff, but still there was like 31 straight games or something.
Yeah,
was that the 29-4 record?
I don't remember the exact. I just know they were a dominant home team. And to Derek's point, there was at least that initial burst of optimism, like, oh man, if they can figure out the offensive stuff, granted they never did, this defense looks like it can be, elite of the elite, and it's going to power them to a lot of wins. This year's team has just been doom, gloom, injuries, pain, suffering. We got to deal with these bozos talking about Joel ducking when he's played 10 full games all year. Like what is going on, man? Just
do you want to take because Devon, I got my rant in on Sunday night's post game. If you want to have the floor for a couple minutes, I'll go get like a cup of coffee or something.
No, it's just like it's such a waste of time to even talk about it. It's like, bro, I understand the one year that I actually could get on board with like Denver people being mad about Joel not playing was the year he won MVP when he had the story drop where he gave an interview to, who was it, Shams, I think. And he was talking all kinds of noise, and then he doesn't play the game. I was like, all right, that looks kind of weak, right? Like that's one that's like, I can understand the animosity. This year, it's like, bro, the guy, he can't stay on the floor. He practiced one time, and the team ruled him out for like a week and a half. It's like, you really got to have like a brain poison regarding Joel Embiid to think that like, oh my God, his whole season and his whole rash of injuries, he was faking a foot injury to fake a second injury so he wouldn't have to play in Denver. Like, do you understand how stupid that sounds when you say that out loud? Great, do it for your content, but you're the one who has to look yourself in the mirror at night and say, I'm a serious person and actually believe it. So
it doesn't seem like that matters to them. Doesn't seem like it matters at all.
There's you're either, farming for engagement and being willingly ignorant, or you're just ignorant. Neither one's really great because it really is like, I think the way that we talk about injuries is pretty disgusting. Just how we make fun of people, how we call them soft. Like, I think people who are injured, especially when you're talking about an injury that could legitimately derail a career, I think that deserves some sympathy. And using that to farm for engagement and imply that he is ducking a team, when to Kyle's point, he has played 10 full games all season. He has played like 35 games over the last 16 months of basketball. He has had second surgery on his knee to remove meniscus. His career is, if not in jeopardy, at the very least being derailed by it. He went from being an MVP player, legitimately probably going to win the MVP last year, to not able to play the sport. And your takeaway is he's ducking us? Are you kidding me? You are just not the main story here. Get over yourself.
I love that Derek was like, here, do you want the floor? I'll walk away. And then Derek got madder than I did, bro. I'm just laughing at this idiot.
In all honesty, like, it really pisses me off that media members partake in this as well. Because like I said, I think it's mostly engagement farming. They know it's going to get clicks. They know it's going to get views. They know it's going to get attention. And for the most part, we don't care anymore. As long as we get that attention, we don't care how it looks. But you can't have the sympathy of a guy whose career might legitimately be in jeopardy, that you have to go out there and just be like, oh man, I can get some retweets on this one. Come on, man. Do better as a media.
Derek is so pissed. I'm just glad. I feel, it's making me feel good about my personal growth that I'm just not.
You have a center who's averaging a 30-point triple-double, has won 3 of the last 4 MVPs. You've got a title, and he's probably going to win the MVP or at least be runner-up. And you're worried about a guy who's got chronic knee problems? Come on, man. Be better than that.
He interrupted the 4 in a row, man. They got to complain about that. He interrupted the 4 in a row with the MVP, so they're not happy about it. They don't like that he's compared to Nikola Jokić. So there's that.
Shea
We'll see
the MVP.
We'll see how they feel about Shea after the end of the season to see where that goes. But Derek, you brought him up. Nikola Jokić is averaging a 30-point, just under 9.9 assists, just under a triple-double in 36 games for the Denver Nuggets. He has been, as usual, he's been fantastic for this team. He has missed a couple of games. I think some of it was personal reasons, but he has been, once again, just fantastic. While he may not win the award for the MVP again, he is going to be right there in the conversation of being a winner for the award. But just speaking again on him and what he has done this season for that Denver Nuggets team, leading them once again where they've had issues with Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon out. Kyle mentioned it. Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup. Russell Westbrook playing well. Part of it is because reportedly, he is the one who wanted Russell Westbrook, and he is making it work. Your thoughts just on Nikola Jokić this season again?
Yeah, he's the best, most consistent player in the NBA. He's a genius. I don't want to talk to him because the people who follow him are clowns.
Yeah, listen, whenever we get on these, the Denver rants and discussion and whatnot, I do feel bad that like Jokić gets caught in the crossfire to a certain extent because, as Derek says, unbelievable basketball. Like unanimously, when we did the preseason, hey, we're going to rank every player or like the top 15, 20 players in the league, unanimous number one for all us. Like he has earned that distinction, right? And I think I have been someone who's been a vocal skeptic of him at times in the past, and for a lot of the defensive centric stuff, right? Like I still don't think he's not in the same defensive class as a lot of the other players that are in the discussions for like top 3, top 5, top 10 players in the league, right? But he is so unbelievably gifted and smart on offense that it's like it doesn't matter as much, right? He bends the floor however he wants it to move, right? And every time someone's like, oh, well, this is how you stop Jokić, right? It's like force it out of his hands and don't allow him to score. And then he has like 25 assists. Well, single cover him, face guard everybody else, and just let him get his. It's like, okay, well, then he's probably going to score 35 points, right? Like he adjusts to the game as well, if not better, than anybody in the league currently, and is just clearly, it's so weird, right? The thing that I don't like that happened with him is that there was this narrative that like, oh, he doesn't care about this, he doesn't care about that because he has more of a nonchalant demeanor a lot of the time, and he certainly has a nonchalant approach to doing media and doing all the other stuff. But that guy clearly cares as much as anybody in the league about his craft and studying the game and how to pick apart different teams, and credit to him for leveraging absolutely everything he has to become the player he is. He's going to destroy the Sixers tonight because they have nothing and nobody to throw at him. Unfortunately, all of us are robbed of the Joel Jokić thing. And like, to me, that's where I would say I understand people who just like want to see these guys play, right? They've been the two best bigs in the league for a long time, although at this point, Joel's probably ceding that to Anthony Davis or Wemby or like somebody who can actually get on the floor and play right now. But they've been, 1 and 2 in the league at the same position, battling for MVPs, and they've gotten some like classic regular season games, the classic Olympic game, right? That goes down to the wire where Joel has one of the best stretches he's had in an important game probably ever. That's what I feel bad about. That's what I sympathize for. The people who want to see these guys play and are bummed out that gets taken away from us because of injuries. That sucks, and I can get on board with that.
Yep, great player. Unfortunately, he went to a town with perpetual little brother syndrome. So,
fair point.
You said it, not me this time. When they come for you, Derek.
I mean, they started it. Like Denver started this one. We're trying to get our tankathon spins in, and they're anyway.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like it's still, despite the fact that the Sixers are just this like in the middle of a downtrodden year, everything sucks. It's still like they have to get amped up for Embiid somehow and make it about him. And it's like, well, that says a lot about how you process the world. I don't know. think about it for a second.
All right, let's get to the pregame picks. So the pregame pick segment, of course, brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Bree, let's run those picks there for tonight. Paul George returns. So we went with the over of 9.5 assists and rebounds combined. 9.5 assists and rebound combined, and see how long the 76ers are in the game for him to reach that. We don't know. We'll see what the point total looks like, but 9.5 assists combined with Derek went with it again. Nikola Jokić triple-double on this one tonight.
Well, you have a slightly better chance on this one
game
than
parlay.
Giannis. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I was 4 assists away from the Giannis one, and with this one, felt pretty good about it. Yes, the odds were very low. It was like plus 120.
I'm not betting Paul George overs on anything except for minutes on the bench. That would be my over that I'm betting on. So
good call. So you
good
do
luck
that
on that one game.
You go to Bet365.
Yeah,
that's how they do it. Yeah, that's how.
I mean, it's not like that's not an unreasonable one. It's just, is this game going to be competitive long enough? I feel like that's the question we ask every time Devon gives us his picks. It's like, well, but if he's only playing 2 quarters,
well, 3 quarters. We'll see how much he plays within those 3 quarters. Even though he's coming back with the groin injury, how much time he's on the floor, foul trouble, all that. Factor that in. Those are the Bet365 pregame picks brought to you by. Again, Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, that'll do it for us here on the pregame show. We'll be back after the game to talk about this one. It's on national TV. They normally get started right away on this particular network. So we're going to sign off to let all you do your last-minute things before the game tips off. For Derek, Kyle, and Bree, I'm Devon. We'll talk to you after the game. See what this one looks like as the Sixers wrap up their 3-game road trip, trying to steal one in Denver against Nikola Jokić and company. We'll talk to you after the game. Enjoy.
We all silly like the mayor.